Thank you, Mr. Geithner, for being here, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this meeting. The biggest concern I've got is about the taxation, but I want to get, in terms of the President's budget, but I want to touch on a couple of things. One, we're all interested in jobs, because we know if we grow jobs, it cuts the deficit, so we've got to do that. I think you agree with that. But let me tell you the realities. I'm a guy that's been in business 30 years, had 1,000 employees 4 years ago, so I understand the middle markets pretty well. I was chairman of the Florida Chamber. I've dealt in these middle market and small companies. Let me give you my observations from Florida. One, there's a severe lack of credit for small and medium-sized businesses. You know that. I've seen you acknowledge it numerous times. So it's really, compared to what was 4 years ago, unfortunately, in fog and mirror, you can get credit today. They can talk about credit, but unless you're going to put up a $500,000 CD, you're not going to get that line of credit or whatever you need. The second thing is health care. To me, it's a big entitlement program for 32 million or 50 million people, but it doesn't do anything to bend the curve for small, medium-sized business. I had one of our largest employers the other day in Sarasota. They're getting ready, ideally, to hire 300 people. They could hire more. Their health care bill went up $1.5 million. But that goes across the board, even with small companies. Everybody says, Vern, I just got my health care bill, it went up 20%. It's killing jobs. Lack of credit's killing jobs. Now, the third thing comes to the budget with the President is increasing taxes. I want to go back to a point that you made. You said that it only affects by raising taxes 2 to 3%, was in your opening comment. That might be true of the percentage of businesses that make up over 35%, but how many jobs do they create? There's a lot of people, and most of them that might make $1 million today, but they have 700 employees. They need more capital. And if we raise their taxes along with the lack of credit, health care costs going up, and then you start raising their taxes and a lot of these, as you know, are pass-through entities. So how do you respond to the tax aspect of the President's budget?
Okay, again, very briefly, you're right about the credit problem, and I agree with you, it's very important. And, you know, after a period where credit was too easy, it's too tight now in pockets of the country, particularly for businesses that were unlucky in their choice of bank. Because their bank got overextended, they were the victim of the bank having to reduce leverage and strengthen capital. But we're hoping that's going to start to improve. The numbers suggest it's starting to improve. The price of credit is much, much lower than it was any time in the last 2 years or so. And this small business program that's now working its way through the system is going to help a little bit, help small banks get capital from the government, help states provide a little more financial power into their credit programs. And we got to make sure that the examiners, the supervisors, and the bank supervisors aren't.
But getting to that tax piece, I really wanted, you said 2 or 3%. I want you to make a comment on that.
Again, it's very important to understand this, and I'm glad you asked it again. And I'm just telling you the numbers that the independent tax people tell the Congress or inform the Congress of. It is 2 to 3% of small companies. Of companies. And
that employ how many?
And you're right, they employ substantial numbers of people, but the vast bulk of those companies affected by that are companies that make substantial amounts of earnings. Now, you're right that their taxes will go up.
They're not all law firms and investment firms.
No, they're not all law firms. They are. But those that are not law firms and investment firms are overwhelmingly still earning substantial amounts of money. And again, these are the rates that prevailed at a time when the small business community in this country.
But we don't have the circumstances we've got today. That's my concern.
All right, the time is expired.